Hari Om. Good morning to everybody in the US. Good evening to everybody in India. So today we are going to have our Pravachana Malika talk number 25. And it is on the interface of scientific and spiritual quest. And we're very pleased to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Rachna Aneja. She is a research scientist in the Department of Molecular Microbiology and Immunology at University of Missouri, Columbia, and a very good friend for our family and well-wishers. So we're really pleased to invite her. And so we'll start the program today with Veda Kusumanjali. Vasan sir, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhir Yajatraha Sthirairangai Stushtabhagum Sastanubihi Vashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vradhashravaha Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ अग्नेनया सुपथाराये अस्मान् विश्वानि देवा वयुरानि विद्वान् युयोध्यस्म जुहुराणमेनो भूयिष्ठान्ते नममुक्तिं विधेम Om Shanti 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 Om Brahman Brahmano Brahmavarchasi Jayatam Arashtre Rajanyah Shura Ishavyati Vyadi Maharato Jayatam Dogdri Dhenuhu Odhanadvan Ashu Saptihi Varandhiri Yoshah Jishnarateshtah Sabeyo Yuva Asya Yajamanasya Viro Jayatam Nikame Nikame Naha Parjanyo Na Varshato Palavatyo Na Voshadayaha Pachyantam Yogakshemo Naha Kalpetam Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnavidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Yaschandasa Mrishabho Vishwarupaha Chandobhyo Dyamutaat Sambabhuva Namendro Medhaya Sprunoto Amrutasya Devadarano Bhuyasam Shariram Me Vichashanam Yikva Me Madhumattama Karna Abhyam Bhuri Vishruvam Brahmana Koshosi Medaya Pihitaha Shrutam Me Gopaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Vasan sir. So now we will do a little Sangeeta Anjali.
Namaste Guruji. Happy Guru Purnima. Himagiri tanage he malate Himagiri tanage he malate Amba Himagiri tanage he malate Amba Ishwari Shri Lalite Mamava Himagiri tanage he malate Amba Ishwari Shri Lalite Mamava Himagiri tanage he malate Ramavani सेवित सकले रमा वाणी सेवित सकले राजराजेश्वरि राम सहोदरि राजराजेश्वरि राम सहोदरि हिमगिरि तनये हेमलते पाशाङ्कुशे क्षुदण्डकरे अम्ब परात्परे निज भक्तपरे पाशाकुशे क्षुदण्डकरे अम्ब परात्परे निज भक्तपरे आशाम्बरे हरिकेश निवासे आशाम्बरे हरिकेश निवासे आशाम्बरे हरिकेश निवासे आनंद रूपे अमित प्रतापे आनंद रूपे अमित प्रतापे हिमगिरि तनये हेमलते अम्बईश्वरि श्रीललिते मामवा हिमगिरि तनये हेमलते। नमस्ते।
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll play a little bit of Aditya Hridayam also for the invocation.
राजश्री सोल से सारे अपडेट्स पाने के लिए बेल आइकन दबाइए।
ततो युद्ध परिश्रान्तं समरे चिन्तया स्थितं रावणं जाग्रतो दृष्ट्वा युद्धाय समुपस्थितं दैवतैश्च समागम्य दृष्टुमभ्यागतो रणम् उपागम्य ब्रवीद्रामम् अगस्त्यो भगवान् ऋषिः राम राम महाबाहो शृणु गुह्यं सनातनं येन सर्वानरीन् वत्स समरे विजयिष्यसि आदित्य हृदयं पुण्यं सर्वशत्रुविनाशनं जयावहं जपे नित्यम् अक्षय्यं परमं शिवम् सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्यं सर्वपापप्रणाशनं चिन्ताशोकप्रशमनम् आयुर्वर्धनमुत्तमम् रश्मिमन्तं समुद्यन्तं देवासुरनमस्कृतं पूजयस्व विवस्वन्तं भास्करं भुवनेश्वरं सर्वदेवात्मको ह्येषः तेजस्वी रश्मिभावनः येष देवासुरगणान् लोकान् पाति गभस्तिभिः येष ब्रह्मा च विष्णु च शिवस्कन्द प्रजापतिः महेन्द्रो धनदकालो यमः सोमोऽध्यपाम्पतिः पितरो वसवसाद्या यश्विनौ मरुतो मनुः वायुर्वनी प्रजा प्राण ऋतुकर्ता प्रभाकरः आदित्यः सविता सूर्यः खगपूषा गभस्तिमान् सुवर्णसदृशोभानो हिरण्यरेता दिवाकरः हरिदश्वः सहस्रार्चिः सप्तसप्तिर्मरीचिमान् तिमिरोन्मन्थन शम्भुस्त्वष्टा मार्ताण्ड अंशुमान् हिरण्यगर्भः शिशिर स्तपनो भास्करो रविः अग्निग
My son is Braxton, and he was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
गर्भोदिते पुत्रः शङ्खशिशिरनाशनः व्योमनाथस्तमो भेदी ऋग्यजुस्सामपारगः घनवृष्टिरपां मित्रो विद्यवीथि प्लवङ्गमः आतपे मण्डली मृत्युः पिङ्गल सर्वतापनः कविर्विश्वो महातेजा रक्त सर्वभवोद्भवः नक्षत्रग्रहताराणां मधिपो विश्वभावनः तेजसामपि तेजस्वी द्वादशात्मन्नमोऽस्तु ते
So, Aditya Hridayam, I think, is a very good also invocation for today's talk on the interface of scientific and spiritual quest. Sun is as much scientific as spiritual for us. So, remembering Aditya, I think we can start the talk series. Nana, can you please introduce the speaker?
Yeah. Welcome to everybody. Sri Ganeshaya Namaha. See, today we have another great scientist plus philosopher, spiritualist, who is able to talk about the interface between science and then spirituality. And I was just wondering, interface, the word, she must only be defining it now also. But what strikes to me is that antarmukha samaradhya bahirmukha sudurlabha, that's what is the complement. So Lalita Parameswari, the Adi Swarupini, we just now had a song by Sudha that she is the Himagiri Tanaye, etc. And also Ashambare, Harikesha Nivasini, Anandarupe, Ananta Pratape, etc. All these things indicate that the light, the brilliance in Surya is Lalita Parameswari, Adishakti Swarupini, the cause for all that. And that light and spirit can be really quest. The word quest is interesting. It is unending one. So keep on going on and on and on. That's why we have today a research scientist whose quest is not over. In fact, there was one book written by Janardana Badami, a neighbor to us in Bangalore, an old man of 94 years who was a chief engineer in the Banaras Hindu University construction buildings, etc. He has written Quest for God, 500 pages. And he wrote only one book saying that, Prabhakar, all through the time I have been collecting a lot of notes from various things, so I just want to put it. So there, the quest, he has divided the quest in a number of ways, and to which I wrote forward also. So now that is the topic today, Antarmukha Samaradhya, Bahirmukha Sudurlabha. So as we go inner and inner and inner, Rasmiman, that's why he said, Rasmimantam Samudyantam Devasaranamaskuratam Pujayasva. It's an appropriate one. So you start your quest from the rays of sun or the available data or hypothesis available in the Prakriti and keep going deeper and deeper. Something like Newton, who just saw the apple falling down. All people will go and grab the apple and eat and say, my hunger is done. But it is said Newton did not do so. he went on anyway. What is this? Why should apple fall down only? Why could not it go up? It's a quest. Then we have got so much of science from him. And he's also a great philosopher and spiritualist. And then he knows the extensive stretch of the nature, and the quest of anybody will not end at all. But everybody has got an opportunity to uncover the quest to their own intelligence and limitations. And so in this quest, our Dr. Rachana Aneja, whom we met, and I was tempted to ask her also to give a talk in our series, looking at Neeraj Arora, who has her husband, a neurologist, joining, and both of them are the couple. Both of them are in the line of science and spirituality. And they wanted his children also to get on, but to begin with Bhagavad Gita. But before that, I want to say that her biodata, that Rachana Aneja's biodata, reads very lot, but I just want to give a few points as introduced by Anjaneya Prasad, and he's a colleague almost in the university to these two doctors. And she's working in the molecular microbiology and immunology department of the university. And she has a master's in biotechnology institute from Punjab University. And she is also PhD in the biochemistry from the Institute of Microbial Technology. And she is a postdoctoral also in molecular interaction of the proteins, etc. And also member of the Freedom Employable Academy, and so much so. So that means her quest in this direction of exploring the nature, the Prakriti, the contents, and also the inside of them will not end. She's still young, so has got so many years to go. So we shall ask her after so many years what are the findings. So with this little introduction, I would like to request Dr. Rachana Aneja to present her paper, and it will be learning. And added to that, we have Dr. Neeraj Arora from Delhi University. She is a professor, Ayurveda College, Tabia College and Hospital, a seasoned spiritualist also. She has opened a Bhagavad Gita WhatsApp, and without my knowledge, she included me. Every day I get bundle of suktas from Bhagavad Gita, picked up, making the spirituality awareness. Because Bhagavad Gita is a wholesale book where any and everything is there. All solutions are there. Bhagavad Gita, that's why a great German scholar, Schroeder by name, said Bhagavad Gita is my mother. And whenever I get solution, a problem, I go and get solution from my mother. That is Bhagavad Gita. So he compared Gita to mother. So like that, we have the spirituality, trying to wake up the spirit in everybody. Sarvasya jantoho buddhirasti. Markandeya Maharshi says, to all beings given birth on land, there is buddhi, intelligence. And that buddhi has got to be nurtured, cultured, educated, etc. And that's exactly what we call as I think, quest. So the quest is going on. And also there is one more who is Bharadwaj, Prashant Bharadwaj, to give us vote of thanks. He is also a wonderful person with all knowledge. He's a vice president of WAVES. And he is deeply involved in the Saraswati project to explore the knowledge of Saraswati River. And he has also given some time. So with this set of speakers and participants, and welcome to other people, I request Rachana ji to go on. Punjab University, she's been represented here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prabhakar and Dr. Kalyam, for a very kind introduction and giving me the opportunity to speak among very great scholars. I have no ability and to speak in front of you, but I will try my best to convey whatever what I've learned. So please allow me to share my screen with you. Is it visible now?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Heartily welcome everyone. I will try my best to convey my thoughts. So as you can, Dr. Kalyan gave a very good prelude to this talk, like referring to the sun. So we all derive energy from the sun, and Dr. Prabhakar also mentioned about Bhagavad Gita. So I will touch upon these different aspects which has brought a lot of wisdom in our lives. So sun is a source of wisdom. So I will just start with a Guru Pranam mantra, which is Om Agyanam Timrandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So this is a prayer to the Guru, because whatever we are at present is just by the mercy of the Lord and the mercy of the Guru. So even in the if we think of the scientific Guru, we all have teachers. Like from birth, we have parents as our teachers, and we go to school, we have teachers in the school. And when we go for higher studies, we have our doctoral supervisors, and then the quest continues to goes on. Then we seek for a spiritual Guru and a master. So a Guru is the one which connects us to the knowledge, the real knowledge and the real wisdom. And the spiritual Guru is the one which connects us to the Lord, the Supreme Lord, which is our controller of everyone. So all this knowledge is already available in the Vedas or in the scriptures, is already available. And for example, Bhagavad Gita was already, when it was originated, first of all, Ishwar or the Supreme God gave the knowledge to the Sun God, Vivaswan, and then through disciplic succession, that knowledge was transmitted to the future disciples based upon the application and based on the time, based on the circumstances of the situation that we are. For example, we all know that Sri Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita discourse to Arjuna in front of the emitters of the battlefield, and because that knowledge he needed at that particular time. So this knowledge, so the teacher is the one who gives us a right application and the right utility of those knowledge which is present in the scriptures, how to utilize that knowledge or the wisdom under the right circumstances and according to that place. So we will just thank our spiritual master and our teachers who has given us the knowledge, which has given us the application, how to use that knowledge in real circumstances, in the present day circumstances. So the invocation prayer I'll start with, which is Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevava Vishishtate. So this is a invocation prayer which starts from the Isha Upanishad, and Isha Upanishad is one of the Upanishad of Yajurveda, and it is this is a prayer for the Lord, which helps us to introduce the Lord. The Lord is complete, and it is perfect in itself, and whatever that emanates or whatever originates from that God is also complete and whole in itself. For example, the phenomenal world, the universe which we live in, it's complete and it's perfect in itself. And it does not need any specific or a special energy to run it. The sun come every day on its own. The 4 seasons that we see over the year, they come automatically. They don't need any specific energy or specific force to it. So the Lord has a specific energy which does the things on its own. And whatever that comes out from that complete source of knowledge or the complete source of wisdom is also complete in itself. And whatever units that come out, even if they come out from that complete whole, that complete whole still remains a complete whole. For example, if we have an apple, and if we cut 4 pieces of the apple, we have 4 different pieces. But even if the apple remains as such as a complete apple, is just like a supreme Lord. So even though there are so many universes that come out from the complete Lord, there are so many creations, like we as a human being, and there are so many living creatures out there. They are complete entities in themselves. They are very complete, but still the Lord is still a complete. He's complete in a harmony. He's in a complete balance. He knows our future. He knows our past and the present. So he is a complete in itself. So as I said that one of the important energies or one of the important elements that comes from that complete world is our phenomenal world that we live in. As it is said in Bhagavad Gita, so it is a form of energy of the Lord. Bhumir apo nalo vahayu kham mano buddhir evacha ahankaram ityam me bhin prakritir asthatata. That means the spiritual world, or not the spiritual world, sorry, the materialistic world that we see is all the energies of the Lord. It is one of the material energies of the Lord, like the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind and intelligence, and our false ego. They constitute one of the separated energies of the Lord. And apart from that, the complete universe is made up of 24 elements. And these 24 elements are required or necessary for the maintenance and the sustenance of our existence. Like all these 24 elements manifest together to run the complete universe or complete world. And this universe runs on its own time scale, which is fixed by the energy of the complete whole. And it does not require any specific our own energies. And the 24 elements we will study, there are 24 elements of the material universe. It is the senses for obtaining knowledge, which is called Panch Gyan Indriya, which includes our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the skin, which helps us to feel all these things. There are gross material elements like Panch Mahabhuta, which we see like earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And there are sense objects we call Panch Mantra, which is a sense of sound. We can hear sound, we can touch, form, taste, and smell. These are all 5 senses. And the God has given us the 5 karmendriya, like the ability to speak, walk, touch, and our other systems in the body. Our mind, which helps us to think. Our false ego, which comes in, which pervades us sometimes, which gives us a false ego. And another is a super thing is like our intelligence. It's called a Mahatattva. And all these manifest to form a form of, these are all other forms of the energy which manifest in the form of a complete world where we live in. This is one form of energy which is called Apara Shakti of the Lord. For example, if we take a body is made up of cells. So cell as such, if you think, it's the smallest unit in the body, and it is functional by in itself. It's complete as a whole in itself. For example, this is the structure of the cell. It's a factory. It has some receptors on its surface to absorb the materials, nutrients from outside. It has a energy factory, is a mitochondria, which gives the energy to the cell. So a cell is a unit entity which can live on its own. It has its unique and a complete entity. But the cell does not live alone. It combines together to form tissues in the body, and various tissues combine together to form an organ, and the organs combine together to form an organ system, and then all the organ system combine together to form an organism. So as such, this Shakti or this 24 elements are complete in itself. They don't, it's a beautiful it's a beautiful creation of the Lord, that all these 24 elements together, they form a complete system. But still a body is not complete in itself. Like if we do not have a certain element in us, there is no use of this body. So this is an inferior energy of the Lord, which is, we call it the Apara Shakti. But this Shakti is very complete in itself. It is, the cell as such can live by itself. We can grow these cells in the lab, and they have been used for many applications. But apart from this, there is one form of energy which is called a Para Prakriti, which is a superior form of energy, which is the life. So life is a form of a superior energy of the Lord. And as it said in Bhagavad Gita, Aparayam itas tav anyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutan mahabhavo yayedyam dharite jagat. So this Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, apart from the inferior energies which is made up of 24 elements, there's one form of superior energy which is I have created, which is a life. And the purpose of the life is to exploit this material energy to gain or to have a relationship, to develop a relationship of that complete living, complete whole. So a complete whole is a God. So we use these inferior energies to develop a relationship for the supreme self. So for example, we have living organisms starting from bacteria to complex organisms like mammals. We have so many sea creatures, and ultimately there's a human being. So human being is a complete manifestation of the consciousness of our living beings. So we all as units, like for example, a small animal or a small bird has the same, it is made of 24 elements. It also has, it eats, it sleeps. Nobody teaches a bird to make a nest. Nobody teaches a bird or an animal to find food. But a God has, like, somebody needs, like, we have to be taught for somebody. Like the God has given us a mind, a consciousness to develop something better. It's just not based on the 4 principles of eating, sleeping, and having kids. It's not just about that, because all the animals also do all the same things what we do. We are, as a human, we are born for a special purpose that we have to probably realize that kind of information. So we as a complete human being have a special responsibility the God has given us to understand him, to realize him based upon our consciousness and developing our consciousness. Because if we see starting from the lower organism, there's an evolution of the consciousness that is seen in our heart. So why does the question came in? So for example, a material universe which is made up of 24 elements is complete in itself. And a human body or a soul is also complete in itself. So the question is why there is a quest. So since we do not have a complete knowledge of the complete whole, then there's a quest arises, the journey of the quest begins. And based upon our what level of intelligence, the level of our consciousness, we try to strive our efforts to understand that complete whole, like who is the God, why, for example, if a human mind with a full consciousness come to the universe, it gets contaminated, then it sees why the sun is rising up in the sky, why is as Dr. Prabhakar mentioned, that why Newton said the apple is falling. So we try to understand the laws of the nature. So we as a human being are bound by the laws of material nature, and we try to understand those things based upon our understanding, our knowledge, based upon our intelligence. So one of the important scientists, like American astronomer, he's a distinguished NASA. He was a distinguished NASA professor, and he was a very famous astronomer. So he mentioned in one of his quotes, he was also a very spiritual scientist. He said, we live in a planet. If we lived in a planet which never changes, then there is nothing to find out. It will be all uniform. It will be so boring. We will not have anything to do if everything is in order. And there will be no impetus for doing science. And if the things are in the random order, the sun does not rise in the morning, there is no night, there is no day, or there are no 4 seasons, then it will be so random that we will not be able to do science in a proper way. So we can do only science when the things are in a proper order, when they're in between. We are bound by the laws of nature. There's some kinds of pattern. Then only we will be able to do science as such. So all the things are bound by the laws of nature, and we, as a responsible person, have the ability to think like how and why this is happening. Why there's a universe where the different planets are there, and they're not collapsing together on each other. Why they are bound by certain forces, that they are at specific distance. So it is the quest that makes us, because we don't know, and that quest keeps on empowering us, and we help us to do something, to find out what's going on. And it's the responsibility of a scientist to use science to improve our lives and to improve the lives of everyone around us. So now we'll go back a step back from all these higher thoughts to a school level understanding, like how does the science or the word science originated from? It originated from the Latin word called scientia. It means knowledge, to grow out of the pursuit. And previously we observe something, we reason something, like why it's happening, and we try to systematically analyze this through various different experiments. And that's why the science has evolved over the time. And William Whewell was the first person who coined the term scientist in 1833. And before that, scientists were called natural philosophers. So we use our logical, like scientists use their logical thinking to discover specific facts, and based upon their ability to figure out the patterns and how these different pieces of the puzzles are connected together. So that's the scientist evolved over the time. So first of all, how does the science begin? So the scientific method consists of various different steps. So first of all is the purpose, like observation. For example, we see an apple falling down, we observe something, okay? And that brings us the query in our mind, like why is it happening? What's the purpose of this going on? And then we try to go back to our text, to our scriptures, or our scientific literature in the papers. Has anybody shown that? Is there any principle behind that, what's happening? And then we do some research. And based upon that observation and the previous knowledge, we try to bring our hypothesis, like this may be happening because of this. This may be happening because of this. We as a scientist have different theories about something. Sometimes they are contradictory with each other, but we try to test our hypothesis by doing different experiments in the lab. And based upon the experiments, we analyze our results, whatever results that we get, and we come to our conclusion, and we write a scientific paper that based upon our understanding, we found this. So this is whole a scientific process, and it is a very, the person who does it very, in a very integrated way, develops a very good a good theory and a good logical reasoning for many things which are happening around us. And there are different kinds of sciences like physical, chemical, as we all know, and biological sciences. So, but the important thing is, like, based upon so much of the science, there are certain kinds of caveats associated with the design principles of doing science. First of all, we have imperfect senses. Our senses are not complete because we are in a combination with the material energy, which helps us to do not see. For example, our eyes can see for some specific time, at specific distance. We cannot see beyond that distance. And based upon our imperfect eyesight or imperfect hearing and imperfect, the 5 senses I have mentioned, that we have imperfect, not complete senses. So based upon that, we sometimes have our own biases. We develop our own illusions about something, that this may be happening because of this. And we develop so many theories about that. And based upon the theories, we can also sometimes make mistakes. That's why the science evolves over the time. For example, the discoveries which were made 50 years ago, now they are changing over the time, because at that time we do not have that much of technology to prove those things. And the present technology that we have at present may not be valid in the future, like 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. There'll be more technology. So we as a human being do not have perfect senses. Based upon that, we make some mistakes. And then sometimes we cheat also each other based upon our biases, that we think that this is happening and this is not right. So sometimes there's a propensity of the cheating also happens sometimes to all of us. So as you can see in this picture, like, our eyes cannot see beyond a particular point, and we develop a telescope to see that. And now there's a web. We have seen last year there was a launching of a web telescope, which has a very good high resolution is there. So the technology changes over time based upon time, need, and circumstances. The microscope, we have seen, like, our eyes cannot see bacteria and the viruses. There's a development of new microscope, which is called cryo-EM, which can see very minute details of a bacteria or the virus. As we can see with the SARS-CoV, we got so much of information about the viruses every day. So the irony of the science is that the more we know, the more we don't know. So there are more questions that arises every time. So it's like there's also a saying that science never solves questions, it raises 10 more. So the quest continues to begin. So it's always unlimited information and unlimited knowledge that comes, we are in contact with each other like every day. So for example, I will just give a small brief example of my closely associated scientific contest. Like after coming here in United States, I worked for around, I'm still working for about 12 years in the field of HIV. So we all know HIV causes AIDS, and it's a pandemic. It's a kind of a stigma, and there are so many clinical I'm missing the word. Like there's so many is a disease which hijacks our immune system. So HIV is a virus which is complete in itself. Okay, so it has all the elements in it. It needs a host to hijack the human system. So it enters the human body, and it uses many kinds of proteins on our surface. It uses certain proteins in our body to hijack and to establish the infection in itself. It has been now 40 years. Like people have done a lot of discoveries. There were so many drugs that came up, which have improved the life of the human being who are associated with AIDS. And it's still a stigma. Like over the 40 years, there's so much of discoveries have been done, but still the problem persists. Okay, so it's not. It has solved some problem, but it has raised some problems again. So for example, we have developed drugs against HIV. So there are drugs are available, but HIV is so clever, it has developed the mechanisms to evade the drug. So there's a problem of drug resistance is also there. And there are certain things that are side effects of a drugs are there. Then we move our science to understand why there are side effects of our drugs are happening. And there are certain kinds of problems which are happening. There are certain kind of new mutations happening in the virus which evades those drugs. So there's several kind of questions that arises from a small thing. Because we do not have a complete knowledge of a system, that's why the quest continues to arise on and on and on. And that's why it's always said that science never solves questions, it creates 10 more. So the quest continues to understand how the virus infects and how it hijacks the host system, and how our host system interacts with that virus to escape that infection. So I have studied over like 12 to 14 years in my scientific lifespan, like what are the different receptors on the surface of the cell which is required for the infection of which is must for the infection. Then I study certain kind of certain proteins which helps to evade the virus mutations, which makes it resistant to certain kind of drugs. So this quest is still going on, and we are asking many more questions to understand the defining principles of the viruses. So as I mentioned that it is unending, but the next thing is, what is spirituality? Where does the spirituality goes and connects that kind of a scientific quest? So spirituality is, in Hindi we call it adhyatam. That means our soul. So it means anything related to the soul or the man is adhyatma. And it's a information, it helps to understand what is the nature of our soul, what is the living entity in our body, which help us to connect better with the material world around us. It helps to understand the things better, because our soul is the absolute and ultimate truth, because it's one of the superior energy of the Lord, which when comes in contact with the material energy, it becomes incomplete, and we try to develop a quest. So one is the material quest, which we try to understand, like why the things are happening outside, and there's a quest inside us, like why this is happening. So there are two kinds of quests which are continuously goes on, and sometimes there's a fight between the material quest and the internal quest. So spirituality help us to find the integrity between the material world and the spiritual world, and it helps to give us certain kind of a meaning to our life. It helps to, as a self, it helps us to transform us in a better way and helps us to get a peace or a purity within us and around us. So for example, spirituality is a kind of a illumination. Like for example, if we are sitting in a dark, there is no light, we cannot able to see anything, but there's certain light within us that comes out, which gives us, which inspires us, which motivates us to go beyond that darkness. That is a kind of energy as a force which help us to move in the right direction. So spirituality eliminates us from inner darkness and always inspires us and motivates us, give us a direction towards the light. One of the important, I would like to quote one of the very great scientists in the modern day world, Dr. Francis Collin. He recently retired as a former director of the National Institute of Health, and he is a person behind the Human Genome Project because he was the first principal scientist which is involved in sequencing of the entire genome and to understand how the disease is related to the genetic, the genes which are in our body. And he is also a very spiritual scientist, and he wrote many different books about the God and the spirituality and the science. And he said once in his talk, like a DNA which is inside our cell is like a software program which is sitting inside us to be understood. So, and he also mentioned that the God of the Bible is also the God of our genome, and God can be found in the cathedral and also in our laboratories. So science and spirituality has to go hand in hand. They are not separate entities. So the more we connect with the science and the more we connect with the spirituality, we can do things in a much better way, in a much profound way, and in a much sensible way, which is a responsibility of as a human being to develop the things, to understand ourselves better and to understand the material world around us. So ultimate, as I mentioned, ultimate aim of a human being is to achieve harmony within us and around us. So spirituality is to connect with oneself, and science helps us to connect with the world around us. So if there is a harmony within us, we can better communicate with the surroundings around us, and there will be help us to connect, make the world in a better way. So science and the nature has given us many different examples to see that spirituality and the science go very hand in hand. And it's a beautiful example as we see in the oxygen cycle. For example, the God has created sun. The energy of the sun helps to grow plants. And the plants, when they breathe out, they give oxygen. And the oxygen is taken up by all the living organisms for the energy, for the respiration. And that oxygen is a basis for our survival. So we use oxygen to breathe. And then we give out this carbon dioxide when we breathe. And this is utilized by the plants to grow, which is produced by the process of photosynthesis. And in turn, again, plants give out oxygen. So the God has created a beautiful system which has to be understood in a very deeper meaning, that all the system is available to us free of cost, free of energy, free of anything. And this happens by itself. We do not have to pay any extra money to breathe the air. We do not need extra money to see the beautiful world around us. So God has given us so many different things for granted, and it's our responsibility to help us understand us better, and help us also our responsibility to uncover those unleashed things which are there, to understand the things in a much better way, in a more responsible manner. Another power of connection I would like to say here is like the redwood forest, which is in California. So you can see a beautiful feature of this kind of a forest is that this is millions of years old forest. And the thing is, the root system of this beautiful forest is that it does not have a very deep root system. So how come this forest has sustained so many of disasters over millions of years and it still remains so strong? Like there's something the forest has to say, help us to understand why this forest has sustained for so many years, and it is so strong and it has covered entire area, and the root system of this forest is so weak. The reason for this magnificent nature is that the roots of this, as you can see in this picture, the root system of all these trees are connected with each other in a very beautiful way. So even though the root system of each of these trees are weak, but they are intertwined or interconnected with each other, and they give the nutrients and they share the nutrients with each other. And the sharing and the networking of this help is to sustain so many problems, so many harsh conditions, and it has thrived so many millions of years. Our lifespan is just few hundreds of, like few years, but these trees have a lifespan of millions of years, and is still a very beautiful forest. It's only because it has connected, it has developed a strong connectivity with the nature. It has developed a strong connectivity with itself, as well as the people or the trees surrounding itself. So this is a power of connection that we need to develop in us, and by connecting us from within inside and connecting in a better way with the outside world. So, so as I said, at the interface of the scientific and spiritual context quest, what I would like to say is, like, science as such is a complete manifestation. It's a complete in itself. Spirituality also is complete in itself. It's a so many different. It's a whole and complete in itself. The interface is like we have, as a human being, we have to connect that science and spirituality based upon our understanding, based upon our knowledge, whatever God has given us, the mind, knowledge. We have to connect with each other, and that's the interface. And also, I would like to end with this slide. As we can see, scientific and the spirituality has 5 eyes. Like if you combine I, there are 5 eyes together. So if there's a better connectivity between science and spirituality, we can develop 5 eyes. So that is, we can do our work with the pure intention. Then we can also do our task with the right inspiration, with the full integrity, with the proper intelligence and the sustained intensity. So, so if we connect within ourselves and connect with the outside world in a better way, then the power of 5 eyes will always help us to move in the right direction. So that's it. I would like to say thank you to everyone, and yeah, thank you so much for listening to me. I do not have words to express myself. Like, I'm so thankful to you giving me the platform to speak in front of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachana ji. It's a wonderful talk. Yeah, I think you pointed out something which I had not really imagined, the way you put it, of how there is this interface, and especially this quote with Carl Sagan. You said that because things are constantly changing, that's the spiritual interface, you said, right? So we can then actually, try to understand why there's change, what is the effect of this change. So if there was no change, then we would never be challenged to be spiritual. But then you said the fact that it happens in a proper order really makes the science interface. So that gives us the ability to have some repeatable knowledge that we can all understand and build upon. I think that is an excellent way to summarize your talk. And I think I enjoyed some of the other wonderful things you talked about. Idea of God, being both in the lab and in ourselves, right, in the genome, which is very, very true, because as you said, you again connected the Purnamada Purnamidam to this whole science of the body and nature. So I think you have really showed how the two words you use, complete and perfect, as a way science and spirituality connect with each other. So it's wonderful. So I really enjoyed your talk, and I think Nana, you want to give some remarks? And
yeah, thank you. Before I ask the other two persons to comment or give something, but I understand now. I also learned a lot, because the interface is the connection inside in connected, but generally people ignore and do not know that. As she said, the more you know, the more you do not know. But what you do not know you should know. And what you know, you should know. That is education. What you know, what you do not know, this you should be able to know. When you know that this I don't know, then your knowing starts. So the quest begins. And again, the quest, how it began, we don't know. The journey of the quest is simply marvelous. But quest is there. And so she has put a wonderful slides. They look all like ladder, step by step by step. Ultimately, how we get into the interface arena, where we have to link up the science and spirituality to have some kind of completeness of our pursuit in a plausible manner. And that must be the endeavor of all scientists, as she has put down, as she has displayed the work and also the pictures of some scientists. Really interesting, because our Rishis are also very great scientists. And what our Rishis have pointed out and then given scope for us, all that is being repeated are seen once again, because the great minds think alike, no matter the land in which they are born, the subjects that they pursue, and ultimately they are simply looking after the quest of finding out, trying to uncover the mystery that is chasing everybody in the world, generations together. But whatever mystery that has been chased, chased, but shall reveal something. Really, I like this thing: pure intention, right inspiration, full integrity, proper intelligence, and sustained intensity. Well, all these things are really keywords to be able to be on the road of finding out what we want and all. And another slide she presented, that the roots of the big long trees are not only down the earth to make themselves stronger and take fruit, and say the long standing trees, they remain long like that for a long time, but not being easily accessible for the onslaught of the power of the nature, rain, wind, etc. But we see in America so many trees are being broken down, half broken, fully broken, or like that. But in India, which is, I think it's a different one, I don't know, she must be able to explain me. And sometimes in India, we see some branches falling down, and sometimes with roots, enrooting the falling down. We have seen, because maybe that because of the civilization and convenience for human beings and other things, they dig the land too much that the roots are also being cut off. So roots are the strength for the long trees to stand for long years. She quoted the forest, where that forest lived, has been surviving for long years. But forest, apart from the deforestation that people use the thing, but the tree itself is a conscious organism, as we see. It wants to stay longer time as any man or woman or any creature born on the land. No creature born on the land wants to immediately die. It was Sadamanam Bhavati Satayu Purushas Setendriya Ayushi Indriye Pratidishtate. That's a marvelous suktam given to the Ayushi Indriye Pratidishtate. See, the Indriyas are very much important. She has ultimately said the 5 Indriyas are important. And beautifully she pointed out, science and spirituality has got 5 eyes. See, eye is Indriya. And then once you open Eva E, then capital I is silent. So in order to recognize the capital I, the EYE must be open to make that I really silenced and improved. So like that, so many wonderful ideas are there. Today, it is a great incentive for people to start working in a new direction, because what is man or what is a human being? And before the human being comes into being, there are hundreds of species who are just short-lived but living. And they all give rise for the improvement of the ultimate being. And even human beings are also perish. But unperishable is Atma. That's what's Adhyatma. Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam and Vedanam Samavedosmi. These two are keywords in Gita. I see whatever Vidyas we are pursuing and getting degrees like BSc, MA, PhD and all those, there are no degrees. Emma doesn't understand. If you say stand before his door and say, what are you? Then I am PhD, I am DLED. What does it mean? Something like somebody asked me when I went to the Science Museum or so in Chicago, where first time Dr. Vivekananda gave a lecture in the Parliament of Regents and calling all the foreigners as the audience as brothers and sisters of America. They were all stunned with that. So now when I went there long back, I asked a guard there and all people, where is that particular hall where Vivekananda spoke? Then that person said, who is Vivekananda? Then it was a good work for me to explain about Vivekananda. Anyway, it happens like that. So to know Vivekananda or some such great consciousness, and is our quest, and quest never begins, never ends. Adi Madhyanta Sunyam. So everybody has got opportunity, and that opportunity is noble. And unfortunately, owing to so many side attractions and other busy schedules, people lose the truth of life. That's what exactly called Tattvam. See, Tat Tvam Asi is the Mahavakya, and that Tat is always to be investigated. Therefore, all scientific Sanskrit traders will Athato Dharma Jignasa, Athato Gnana Jignasa. See, Atha and Tataha, these are the two important Sanskrit aviyas which will make you keep going on. Don't get contented that, oh, somebody has done the work I do not have. Because everybody has got a chance to contribute, and therefore they are called as PhDs. I mean, because something new we are all making. And today it's a wonderful eye-opener for us to investigate and try to understand the nature. And as I mentioned, the Newton's observation that the apple falling down, why should it fall? Even the gravitation also, even in the space, when you go up some distance, the gravitational force stops. And beyond gravitation, you don't have any stature, you will be floating. And as you see in the astronauts, if at all, they don't come out, actually, there is no stability, there is no fixity at all. That is, sthira buddhi is not there, sthira tattva. So you have these kinds of natural changes, and once we connect, and in fact, I remembered a beautiful experience to me when I was a college student. One of my friends' father was working in the meteorological department in Anantapuram, in the meteorology. So we just went on a full moon day to visit his office, and he took us up and then put the telescope and showed us the moon. Actually, moon to us appears really beautiful. We have so much of poetry about the moon. But actually, you get the real scientific and reality of the moon when you look through the microscope, telescope, and telescope is upwards, microscope is downwards. But we have got both equipment developed by the human brain, and computer also a portion of human brain brought outside. So we are only sharing the knowledge, knowledge of the entire nature in a manner or other, which is incomplete. And of course, beautifully, the Aurora put forth that sun is the source for all that. And moreover, she has told the picture of a darkness. See, to put a darkness, and when out of darkness only everything comes up. Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, and asator ma sadgamaya, and mrityor ma amritam gavi. These are all Upanishad Vakyas. So when you are investigation in the line of the scientific way, we are only unearthing the spirituality layers. And ultimately, when once you understand the consciousness in different phases, and I also, sometime I got a dream, she talked about the soul in the body. And when the body is burnt or buried, the soul does not stay there. It will just go out. And actually there was an idea. So if you burn my body, what would be the experience, and that the soul wants to speak out to the people living. That was an idea, a dream it is. But actually, when the body actually kept on the fire, the soul also becomes silent. Therefore, the deceased people, if at all they come in dream, they don't talk. They appear, but their gestures, when you, after all, you meant, so see people dying within 1 year, they will just appear to the relatives and want to say something. So that's also a kind of direction that people do not get rid of the connection with the earth on which they lived for a very long time, years and years, but they carry the impressions or vasana of their life also. So it's a very, very beautiful, very big subject, madam, the interface between these two. And see, 30 minutes or 40 minutes that she took to present with the slides is, I don't think, enough, but we have got some phase. But ultimately what we know that we are not ourselves. Natvam, see, see that in that Maharshi, Aitareya Maharshi, I mean Ashtavakra will say in his Gita that body is not yours and you are not the body. Then who are you? That you find out. So when your journey goes on, some truths are coming out, but they are not ultimate truths. But ultimate truth is Ishvaraha Sarvavidyanam. East and Nidhaye Sarvavidyan, Dakshinamurti, we remember. So anyway, very beautiful topic, madam, and it is the 5 eyes we should remember, science and spirituality. You cannot ignore any one of them, but connect these two, then life will be reaching towards the perfection. And I don't talk much because we have another great a scientist, Ayurveda scientist, and also a spiritualist who is fond of Krishna and trying to unearth the Krishna Tattva, and she will be able to speak to us on now on this topic and also on the lecture that Dr. Aroja, and I'm happy Neeraj Arora is present. His outlook is different. He talks about the brain. He goes to brain and all that. But I observe his wife goes to nature also and try to connect the spirituality and all that. A wonderful couple, Dampatis. So Dampati eva bhavataha, as the Taittiriya Aranyaka will say. So Dampati eva bhavataha. So that becomes a wonderful combination. We invoke the blessings of Paramatma to pursue your research and see that like the tree roots looking on the rock. I didn't understand because in Pune University and other places I found, especially Pune University campus, this kind of site I saw, not to go to forest. I was not able to understand. Now she is telling us that they are sharing their potencies, each other, and see that their projection is being standing longer time. And that's exactly what even Vivekananda says, everybody born is a projectile, projected from a common point of projection and working on circumference of life. When once the work is over, they will sink back to the point of projection. Beautifully as presented in this, and that only is thesis. Life is expansion and death is contraction. So in the expansion is such that the contraction has got to be controlled through the power of development, so on. So thank you very much. It is wonderful incentive and inspiring and connective talk. And we wish you to come sometime with some more data some more scholars and make this. Because actually, why at all this happens to be Nada Veda Adhyayana Kendra and World Association for Vedic Studies, because Veda, the scope of Veda is universal. It covers all branches. That's why our president, Dr. Bhudev Sharma, and they started in Atlanta, the Vedic education, and he said multidisciplinary society. So multidisciplinary means anything comes to picture. So not much talking. I asked Dr. Arora to put forth her ideas, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yeah, stop sharing the.
Hello.
Yes, madam, you are audible, madam.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving me this golden opportunity to listen to Dr. Rachna, and also thank you so much to sir for giving me this opportunity to say something about. It is one of my favorite topics, I must say, and I want to congratulate Dr. Rachna that she has touched so many aspects about the topic that I think there is not much left behind. And again, when sir has told so many things about the lecture, I just want to share one thing that I don't think that there is any difference between science and spirituality, because in my view, spirituality is the biggest science. Spirituality is itself a science, and it guides the science to work upon. I think so, because we are a smallest or the meager part of this whole universe. We are just like smaller than an atom in this vigorous universe. And when I talk about science, what it is that atom becomes molecule, then molecule becomes tissue, then tissue become organ, and organ becomes system, and system become body. So it starts from the atom or from the smallest particle. And when we talk about that, we know that how this body works, and we are working upon the body, and we are working upon the science of the life. So first we have to see that it starts from the Parmanu level, from the lowest level. And we know that Vishnu has three anshas, or Vishnu has three parts. One is Mahavishnu, and then is Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and the other is Vishnu. That Vishnu which enters into each and every particle of the life, and it is stated in everyone's heart, and every nucleus, every atom, and everything. So when the presence of Vishnu is there in each and everything, in each and every particle, then we cannot say that science is something different from the spiritual world. Spiritual is adhyatmik, yani ke adhikarana means the working area, my area of working. So Ayurveda says that Sattvam Atma Shariram Cha Trayam Etat Tridandavattu. Sattva yani mana or Atma or Sharir. Ye the three things comes together to form this lok. Lokas tishtati sarvatra taccha sarvam adhikritam. Isi lok mein everything is there. And when we say everything, then science comes automatically under it. So integrating this spiritual openness is not rigorous to scientific endeavor. In fact, it might even add it to it. I think so. So, and the second thing I want to say here that there is a principle in Ayurveda, and that is Loka Purush Samya, which states that whatever is there in the universe, it is also there in the body. So what is in the samashti, that is also present in the vyashti. But in a smaller way, like ocean is there, so the salt in the ocean, the salt present in the water of ocean is same as the salt present in the 1 cup of ocean water. But the difference is that ocean is so vast, and and that ocean has so much of resources. But a cup of ocean, although it is similar in the chemical constitution with the ocean, but it is too smaller a part of the ocean that it cannot work like an ocean. It cannot help us like an ocean. So everything is in the world is because of Bhagwan Vishnu, and we all are part. So whatever there is in the universe, the Surya in the universe is Pitta in the body. The Vayu in the universe is Vat in the body. And the water in the universe is like Kapha in the body. And so many components of the universe are there in our body, and they represent it. So science is also a quest for how these things happen. How these things are so disciplined that a cell knows that when it will be converted into a human being, where would be the eyes will be situated, where the mouth will be situated, where the liver will be situated. The cell knows it all. And the cell also knows it, that how the plant will grow. So who is directing all these things? When I go to deeper into the matter, then we see that Adhyatma is as there is science. And sometimes the questions which science cannot answer, the spiritual, the explanation gives us the answer. So I think that it was a wonderful lecture from Dr. Rachna, and I wanted to add only this, that Vasudeva hi Sarvamiti. Thank you so much.
So, Neeraj, thank you very much that you gave another new ray for the kind of approach and topic today. And Rachana, she is also Niroja, and here also Aurora. So, Aurora, and very good. And any more, I think Buddupalli Raghava is also a microbiologist. He is also there, and I wish he just gave me something.
Thank you, sir. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Really very happy to hear to Dr. Archana on science and spirituality. My Guru, Professor Prabhakar sir, has already spoke what I really wanted to speak, but I would like to just quote one thing. She just put it first in the 5 earth elements, the 5 elements, important elements from the grace of Paramatma, the water, air, Agni and others. So Namo Brahmane Namo, Namo Brahmane Namo, Astvagnaye Namah Prudhivyaye Namah Oshadhibhyah, Namo Vache Namo Vachaspataye Namo Vishnave Bruhate Karomi. So like how these 5 important natural elements and how this Srishti has happened under the Paramatma's vision. He is a great scientist. Nobody, none other than you call him as Krishna, or you call him as Ishvara, or you call him as Allah, or you call him as or Jesus, or whoever, whatever. The ultimate Paramatma is a great scientist who really invented all these things. So that one of her slides, which Professor Prabhakar also spoke about, that one is the buttress the buttress means the extent. Roots are generally inside the ground or earth, but the roots that have come out are the buttress, they are called as. So that buttress, if you see that is Budhni Ayacha. So in Rudram, in Sri Rudram, one of the Anuvakas, it is said that so inside that also Paramatma is present. So how these things has given to us, has given to human beings for the use and for the performance of yajnas. So how these gramyas chame, so how the seeds will grow inside the plant or when they come out, is that so Purna Taranchame, Purnaschame, Purna Taranchame, all these things, these are all told in Vedas. So as Professor Prabhakar said, my guru, so those are the things which are really very, very important for human beings, ultimately for the performance of yajna and to put our Atma into that yajna. But that yajna is now in Kali Yuga, it has been reduced to the fact that, but still yajnas are being performed in various parts of the world, and for the benefit of global welfare of the human beings, not only the human beings, but also the other living organisms. So we have to, that is what we have to really, even working in the microbiology field, it is always good to know the Vedic language, the Vedic bhasha, that what Paramatma has said. So these are the important things that we always. She shared a wonderful lecture, and what I wanted to take is that which my guru Professor Prabhakar sir already told. The more we know, the more we don't know. That is excellent, actually, because we know not even a drop in the ocean. When you see Vedas, so we do not know anything. That is the ultimate. Then only the quest will come, as she rightly said. Dr. Rachana has rightly said that that question will come only when we think that we do not know. Think means not just by lips, by inner meaning, by inner feeling, that really I do not know. So which we know is that it is because of Amma. Whether you call your own mother or whether you call the Parameshwari or whoever it is, the Chaitanyam that comes for any human being is Amma. That's why even the Taittiriya Upanishad has said the first namaskara has given to Amma, Matru Devo Bhava, because that Amma who teaches us how to from how to drink milk up to how to live in this world, also Amma, that is the Chaitanyam. So with this, I think I congratulate Dr. Rachana for her wonderful lecture on spirituality and the science. They go together. They cannot go parallelly as a rail track, as a train track. So they go one another, one each other, and that transparency has to be there between both spirituality and the science. Thank you very much, Professor Prabhakar sir, my guru. So thank you so much.
So Archana ji, having heard Prasad, Anjaneya Prasad and Prabhakar and Neeraj Arora and also Raghava, all these are, and you are going to hear somebody. So what do you think? But you are I want your just comment in it.
I'm very thankful and very I was so much mesmerized hearing the thoughts of many learned scholars here, and I just want to say thank you for all your thoughts in helping me go deeper, and we all complement, like as a root system is that we all complement each other. As you rightly mentioned, that they have to go hand in hand. So we all have to go hand in hand, inspiring each other, like the roots of the trees. So we as a human being, we are just like a drop in the ocean, as you mentioned. So we have a very limited mind, limited intelligence. But as a whole, when we come together and we share our knowledge, we share our perspective, it gives a holistic principle, it gives us a holistic view to develop our own wisdom. And that wisdom is just to connect with the God. Our ultimate aim is to realize our relationship with the complete whole, which is Lord Vishnu, Lord Ganesha, or the whatever God we believe in. So that is our ultimate purpose. These are just the small instruments which help us to uncover the relationship with the Lord. So the science and spirituality and the discussions that we have, these are all help us to uncover that relationship that we have to develop with the Supreme Lord. I just want to say thank you so much, and we all connect together. It's a wonderful occasion and giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you so much.
Actually, Dr. Nishi Arora had pointed out at the outset, there is no distance between spirituality and all that, no distance at all. True, that is the truth. That is truth. For example, you look at the two railway lines. See, if you look at distance, you observe that two rails are joining. And if you look at the sky also, you see earth and sky are meeting, they are kissing each other. But actually, when you travel further on, there is separation and scope for our quest and understanding, and our lifetime is not complete. So what is visible has no distance, but it has a distance. And that is the work for all of us to investigate. And even Krishna also says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. So that's why, in order to ensure that, he says that Mayi arpita mano buddhihi, Mayi sanyasya, etc. Mayi, he keeps on having the head of Arjuna, not our head, that remember Ishvara sarvabhutanam, Ishana sarvavidyanam, Ishvara sarvabhutanam, Brahma adhipatihi, Brahmanaha adhipatihi, Brahma Shivaha Om. That Omkara, ultimately you showed the beautiful lotus. Thank you. That lotus is the symbol of the Omkara. Therefore, all divine people think of lotus. Even in Ramakrishna Ashramam, they put swan at the gate, and then they say that ultimately, Tanno Hamsaha Prachodayat. So the Hamsaha Prachodayat, meaning Hamsa is Surya Bhagavan. Hamsa is ultimate because it is having a Rishi qualities. Therefore, all Parivrajakas, they are all to remember the Hamsa ultimately, and that is really marvelous. Therefore, we have so many views on this topic. It's very interesting. Everybody can work out. In fact, we have one more person, Dr. Gopi Chand, and he is also, after retiring from the doctor profession and also administrative, he has also taken up Bhagavad Gita and Veda and all that. So ultimately what remains is to explore the spirituality and see that spirituality in our own nature and personal, and that's what is going on. And we have one more beautiful person who is very equipped, that is Prashant Bharadwaj from Haryana state. So Haryana, Delhi and Punjab, well, all people are here, and he will be, I think, making some comment. Bharadwaj, he is the vice president, he is the Saraswati project vice president. Oh, a lot of work he has got behind, and it's a very good, whenever we meet him, we get a lot of knowledge from his. He said, somebody said, I take you to Saraswati river bank and make you take bath also. Yes, Prashant ji, your role.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible. You go ahead. Also visible. Make it yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm somewhere outside. That's why I put my video. So, definitely, this is most crucial job that you give to me, and definitely we all felt blessed. The lecture by Dr. Aneja ji, Dr. Rachna ji beautifully expressed not only the relationship between the scientific and spiritual quest. She is par excellence in spirituality. She is par excellence in her area of study, that is molecular biology and other scientific area. Definitely, Shri Arora ji just was saying, when we know more and we believe we know less. So that also goes to credit to our Guru, Professor Prabhakar ji, who always chosen very good topic. This is definitely a very good topic, and lots of scholars have already delivered their lecture earlier too, and today you chosen a very excellent panel. Dr. Rachna ji, we are very, very thankful to you for giving us appointment and time. And definitely your lecture, not only who joined this session live, also the recorded videos when we are going to circulate to our groups and other platform of waves. So therefore, many more could be benefited with this knowledge and whatever you delivered here. I'm also thankful to Dr. Nidhi Arora ji, who given a very super, I can say, we are very thankful to you to be the part of this lecture. You are also a very learned, knowledgeable in the field of Ayurveda, and we are also blessed with your knowledge, and definitely this knowledge should goes to our next generation, and we could be part of it to inculcate this knowledge, to impart this knowledge, to reach out this knowledge to the younger generation so they can be benefited with this knowledge. We are very, very thankful to you. And last but not least, Dr. Prabhakar ji, we are always thankful to you, who always bring very, very good panels here on this platform, and also the talk and topics are well with very good thought and with lots of discussion, whatever going on earlier too. This is, I think, more than 100th lecture. But you started this initiative around 2 years back, and now it's a part of your routine. And we always inspired from you. In this age of more than 80 years, you are still inspiring young people and still working as a young man. this is big inspiration to us. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the panelists, and thank you all the audience who joined this session here.
Thank you, sir.
So we conclude with the Shanti Mantram. So Prasad, you just recite Sahana Avatu.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu Shri Veda Ashirvadostu Om Tat Sat.